If China parked tanks on the Mexican border to come in the United States, would we feel differently? Well, we got to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to tell you, I want to show you specifically what a crap analogy that is. What an amazingly crap analogy that is. We'll be back right after this.
While I know they're not going to be talking very much, I will actually get a couple of things in just so I can tell you what I'm doing here. Because for some reason it's strike time all over this place. And I'm beginning to think that maybe YouTube and Google are having a few issues internally that may prove that they have to stop being bullshit artists. Stop lying to the American and all of the people that they're putting these things out on. That a lot of their policies as to who they hit aren't really as equal as you might think. And I think there's a group of us that are going to be able to prove it. And the best part is we can do it without using YouTube. And mostly do it through Canadian companies. That's kind of scary. Hopefully.
My iMac goes. Sometimes it's been going to sleep.
Thank you.
I get it. I'm gonna have to just the house bar show. Wow, and the guitar. Come together. This is the house bar show. Wow, and the guitar.
Whoop, look, maybe we did.
I mean, what they do, they have an endless
Hitler,
list of propaganda and propaganda methods.
Mini Hitler. That's all I hear.
So, the analogy that Tucker Carlson has been making about
Mini Hitler too?
The Ukraine-Russia situation has been repeated multiple times across everywhere. It is now the dominant thought form.
Correct.
That this is the dominant lie currently, which is, what would you do if you were Vladimir Putin? If we were the United States, he's the United States in this situation, and we're him. And China put troops on the Mexican border, and how would we feel? We would probably push a bunch of things.
I don't know about the China
we'd have troops at our border,
right,
to defend ourselves against the Mexican onslaught. Okay. They have, when they talk about this, their analogy completely backwards. Because if you're being true to the actual analogy, the true equivalent would be if the United States is, Vladimir Putin's Russia at this current point. That America started talking about how, after the Alamo, parts of northern Mexico were really our territory anyway.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of people in Texas and Arizona that speak the same language that they do in northern Mexico. They speak Spanish. They have family over there.
Exactly.
It's sort of really, if we have a porous border, some people come and go, pretty freely, more than we'd want. But also we have trade back and forth. We have a lot of cultural similarities. You know what I mean? You can get great Mexican food in El Paso, where I was yesterday, or you can get great Mexican food in Mexico. And there's a lot of similarities. And so if the United States started talking about northern Mexico and the annexing of it, going, well, it's really our territory anyways. Mexico's kind of ours, isn't it? I mean, the Spanish, we beat them in a war, so, I mean, it's really ours. What's the big deal if we want to start flooding northern Mexico with English-speaking thugs who are bilingual, who want to start walking up on everybody going, hey, man, if you were part of Texas, you'd be a lot freer. You could have all the guns you want. And we could do all kinds of, if we started doing that, and then the UN started sanctioning us, and not China in this situation, somebody actually attached to the issue. But let's say the UK. UK went, this isn't right.
No, I thought she had free Wi-Fi.
Mexico's a sovereign country now. I don't care what your battle lines were in the 1800s, dummy. You gave up this territory a long time ago. You can't just decide, well, did we really? We didn't mean it. We're only going to have to kill about 15,000 people to take it back, and it's kind of ours already, isn't it? If we started joining, then France and the UK and Germany and all these other NATO countries, effectively, let's say there was a NATO treaty in South America because we were known to do this, right? We had a terrible history. So there was a Brazilian, Argentinian, Honduran NATO, and they decided to send troops up, or not even sending troops, but sending military hardware to Mexico to park on the border because we were parking stuff on the border. Because we did it before. We decided after in the 90s going, fair's fair. We walked away. That's the border. Border's the border. It's going to be the border forever. And then in the early 2000s, we went, you know what? There's actually some parts of the, of northern Mexico that we could actually use. So, you know what? We're just going to take it anyways. We're going to move in. And we done that. And then we fell back. And then we did it again. And then we fell back.
Right.
And now we've started amassing more troops than ever, not only in that border, but let's say we put troops in Cuba and stuff off their coast.
Yes.
Like Belarus and Crimea, which is what's happening right now. Mm-hmm. Do you think the rest of the world would be wrong in their assessment of American aggression when I put it in terms that you can understand? Because, right, America's always the bad guy. I get it. In every situation, it's always our fault. It wouldn't have started if we hadn't started it. I get it. So if I put it in those terms, does that make more sense? Because that's what Putin has been doing. Apropos of nothing, he started rolling these troops towards the front.
Apropos of nothing.
And then when everybody went, "What are you doing?"
And he and Xi
he started posting pictures of it online. Hey, check out my
Hopefully
troops.
He's going to say this too, because
and then he
Xi
started
needs it too.
Putting similar troops in Belarus, which is to the north, and within a couple of 100 miles of the capital of Kyiv. And then in the annexed part of Crimea that he took over, that island, they started putting in troops there to the south. I mean, it's like a game of Risk. And yet somehow this is NATO and America's fault. Because when Biden became president, they simply weren't ready to hand Ukraine back to Vladimir Putin. Because Ukraine doesn't want to be handed back. And, it's not surprising that, the Sean Hannitys and the Tucker Carlson have a kind of, if Ukraine didn't want this, they shouldn't have been dressed that way attitude. It's not surprising at all. And with their concept of what consent means in terms of what can be taken from someone else it's not against their will, and what a strong man's value in the world is, which is, of course, only predicated on what they can take, not what they can give at all. And with their concept, of course, Tucker's siding with Russia. Of course he is. RT, so what consent means to Russian Today, has wall-to-wall Tucker Carlson coverage. And apparently there was a story out this week that they are concerned that he's being so overt in terms of what can be taken from someone else against their will in his and what a strong man's value in the world is, which is, of course, only predicated on what they can take, not what they can give. They're just gonna... it's going to be so obvious the American people siding with Russia are going to go, wait a second. Of course he is. Is he getting a check now? RT, it's starting to creep out even the Republicans who are kind of on his side. Wall-to-wall Tucker Carlson coverage. And apparently there was a story out this week that they are concerned that he's being so overt in his feelings about, the Russia that...
And I'm been there.
They're just gonna...
Because I just want to make
it's going to be so obvious the American people
now
are going to go, wait a second, is he getting a check now? It's starting to creep out even the Republicans who are kind of on his side.
There we go.
Now, credit where credit is due. Tucker is a creep anyways.
I like wood. Deeper and longer.
But this is, no, to each his own.
I'm
not
like
here to yuck
wood.
anybody's yum. I'm not.
Yeah.
But this is This is a situation of Vladimir Putin's own making. We are not trying to get Ukraine's oil and gas. As a matter of fact, we don't need anything in that country. We don't. I mean, does it serve as a bulwark against Russia's expansion? Yeah. Could that be solved by Russia just enjoying its own borders and building up within them like every other country does? Well, no, because they can't, apparently. Not with Putin in charge anyways. And he, like Trump, is on a hard fade. And he knows this. He's not going to make the economy of Russia better anytime soon. He's not going to improve the lives of the Russian people anytime soon. They're not going to become a world manufacturing powerhouse. They are the Saudi Arabia of the North.
When you do this right.
And therefore, they have to be run like a royal
I've
oligarchy.
got my eight.
Because when you are... Yeah, when you are a resource-only country, what option do you have?
It's mini extreme, so it's the 8.
All your eggs are in one basket.
12.
And there is no expectation
because I'm not
that anybody's going to be relying on Russian technology to better their lives anytime soon.
7.
Not that we couldn't have. Man, they were giving us a run for our money. And
yeah, I'm not using 2, 6, and 7.
When it came to the space race for a while, right? I mean, they were just basically throwing balls in the air and letting them float around. It was
a little expensive.
They were doing a lot of firsts, but not a lot of lasts.
This, where you could
have a lot of lasting stuff without our help. But they were doing all right. Russian scientists, they're no Operation Paperclip Germans, but they'll do you well if you're trying to put some stuff in space and let it stay there.
There, okay. You could have him.
Why'd that drop off? Because they became an oil country, an oil and gas country.
You have him,
and it's enough
here
for a while until it ain't. The problem with oil and gas is your primary raison d'etre as a country is that once it runs out, the catch-up to becoming useful again on a global scale to other countries is a long and fraught one. Because vodka and nesting dolls will not make up that shortfall.
And put anything he wants right here. Or even up there. Up there.
America has, we for whatever Trump tells you, we do have current energy independence. We buy some oil from other countries because it's cheap.
Which could be a picture. Actually, let's make this
not because we need it. If we had to close our borders entirely again and just run off the oil and gas we produce, we could do it without any new exploration. They can't. Largely because there's nothing to run. 773-763-9278 is our number. It is a source. It's the world news aspect of things right now is fascinating. I don't believe Russia has anything truly to gain in invading Ukraine. There's no benefit to the people, and they feel the same way. The man on the street interviews in Russia are all going the same direction. What for? What are we doing? We all have Ukrainian relatives. You're going to kill people you have a shared heritage with?
Art,
and we can come and go anyways.
Player 5. Okay.
It's a conquest.
Because it's different on every single one.
Why do you do that unless you're on the losing side of something? Why do you try to seize territory or resources unless you're running out of territory and resources?
There you go.
That's the problem.
So this is the other thing.
We'll be back.
You can do that.
It's the Housework Video program, Mega Worldwide. We're on every Saturday. Infotainmentwars.com. Who needs documents?
The background could be a set piece where you have your little piece here that shows the symbol up there or up there in the corner where my living room ceiling is at. So you have all the stuff that you want in your pill thing, and they could all be up there. And this is not run on OBS, so it runs pretty damn well. Let me turn on a little bit more light. Just a wee bit more light on me, just so I have just a tiny bit more. And that's literally just a tiny bit more.
There's something wrong.
The camera in front of me?
Or that's the one the Russians... That's the computer I have that the Russians have attacked. We'll show him... We'll take him off the air.
$600 camera.
This computer... He uses this old piece of crap...
$1,200 for that. So yes, you're already at
look at his web pages to make sure that the signal is on.
What?
If we take that away, he's
just
powerless.
These two things. Well, hold on. Okay. A little bit more.
Yeah,
So the camera,
not so much.
The ATEM and the mini computer that he's actually playing off of. It's just a mini computer. It's another $200.
Not now.
But literally, what that allows me to do is have the mini computer.
Then we go down here.
That would be literally where he would be able to bring.
I'm just doing.
He would be able to
talk to
bring
the people, Johnny.
in, Johnny, literally, with this mini computer, just like he is now. Johnny would be able to hear everything, because what you do is you actually put into that little thing the output from here. He would get whatever. It's so much easier. Well, I also okay. I will admit.
There was a like I was
another
watching it on,
$1,200 in electronic mixers, because I have a Behringer system for the audio. So the audio is actually coming through another Behringer.
I was watching a
totally digital system, so it gives me control that also allows me to plug into this. So yes, $2,500, and we're pretty much in a good setup. That if he used this setup,
accent
he'd have
Mexican.
almost none of the problems he's having right now. So it's kind of why I wanted to demonstrate is that he could do the show exactly like he's doing it now. And most of this, for me, is, you notice, just a single button or two on the ATEM. See, I just screwed those up, which is perfect. But I can come back over here, go here, and go 1. Nope, that's where I want it. And 2, back to 8. And boom.
Yeah, it's just being wonky this morning.
But see, yes, and these are with just this and this. I've got that kind of control.
Library.
Because if you get all this shit set up, then you don't have to worry about it.
See all.
You literally are only switching between what you need, which would be. Let's see. I guess I would do this one.
Planche push-ups.
And.
And double blade sword techniques.
Yeah, because what he's doing is literally this, where he's got them in 2 different.
David Lee Roth kind of stuff.
But remember, I've got a separate background, just like he does there. He's got the 2. But you could actually put a 3 in, just like he does do sometime. There's been a symbol. Okay. Wow. Well, because I'm doing a 2 right now, right? So let's say I wanted to do a 3. Where
did they do it? Okay, hold on.
Okay, let's just do a quick 1, 2, 3.
Looking
Ooh, I
for
hate
the
that one.
thing.
I am looking for the thing. Hold on.
Nope, don't like that one either.
Because and hi chat room. Let's see.
Shit. Okay, try that one. Okay, that one I like because, let's see, what we could do is 1.
Rats. I don't know where it went.
Mm-hmm.
I had it. It's aggravating.
8. All right.
Man, I dove back into the whole Paul Manafort thing the last couple days too, revisiting all that stuff. Good Lord, that man is awful.
Horrid.
Just like one of the.
So a little distance didn't make the heart grow fonder.
No. First of all, he worked with Yanukovych,
Right.
and his own daughters say he is the one who came up with the idea to put agent provocateurs in to fire shots at police officers so that they could officially give the order to return fire and kill protesters.
Right.
So when 50 some odd protesters were killed on whatever, I think it was April 3rd of that year in 2014, that was all Paul Manafort's PR move.
Back in 20.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just a it's just hideous. And his own daughters are like, the money we live on is blood money.
Right.
Like, they're clamoring about this. And then he got dudes off Craigslist to have group sex with his wife against her will, but she put up with it because she couldn't afford to leave. She'd had brain damage from a car accident.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out at me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
So, I was poring over, like, I watch so much, like, foreign news on YouTube because that's where they post it the most, and I don't know how in the world you get a cable box that is like the internet. There's just no way to have access to the kind of, like, news sources from, BBC maybe, but, like, Guardian Online stuff and WeOn and the Indian networks and Chinese, CNTV and, like, Korean English language stuff. Like, it's amazing that we live in the era of as much news as we do. And I've been watching a bunch of this, trying to find basically, like, how the Russian people feel about the idea of invading Ukraine. And, some of them, there's men on the street asking them, hey, are you ready to go to war over this? The same questions you have over here. Because, like, let me remind you folks, people are people, so why should it be? You and I should get a... Right? That it's not surprising that a lot of these folks are like, nah. No. Honestly, I'm not... I'd rather not. And by a good measure. Now, are there some when they talk to these folks that say, well, I mean, we're patriots and you have to fight for your country and all that stuff? Like, are they there? Yeah. Yeah, of course. Does that surprise anyone? No. Does it mean that there's enough of those guys, and they are guys, at least in the interviews that I've seen, that are like, yeah, let's do it. Like, that there wouldn't be a pushback. Like, there's an idea I also think, and maybe it's the left side of American exceptionalism. America is best kind of idea is that we're the only country where the citizens kind of go, yeah, I don't necessarily think my government's telling me the truth. And we are by no means the only country. There are countries like China and Russia where if you say it on camera, in China you're in danger. In Russia you could get in trouble if it becomes a pattern, right?
Right.
But and we get to do it so easily that it becomes almost knee-jerk.
Well, here, I can do this.
It becomes habitual. Like, we don't even have to think about it. Yeah, government's terrible at anything. Like, everybody's an instant libertarian the minute they're asked about anything of consequence, unless it's their particular key issue, in which case the government should focus all their issues on one thing. So, in this, we have this sort of belief on the liberal, progressive, democratic side of things that somehow in Russia, that the minute Vladimir Putin says war, everybody's like, yeah. Why would we question it? Obviously, we're in the right, and this is something we should do. Well, no. The blowback from them in Afghanistan was long and terrible and had a huge impact on the breakup of the Soviet Union. Almost as much as the cost of the Cold War. So, bringing that war home and going, okay, that was a waste of time. That was adventurism in the sand and a lot of violence for no purpose. The Russian people reflected on that and seemed to have come to the conclusion that it was terrible and a waste of time. And all the political leaders over there, as much as they can sort of shape the election all they want and keep themselves in power, there's still always a problem of, well, you can only do that within a certain framework, or you'll lose your, you get into a Kazakhstan situation where there's a tipping point where they're only put up with so much crap for so long. And they look at if it can happen in the United, you look at how after January 6th, people would look at stuff, things like the yellow vest stuff in France or other things and sort of compare it to populist uprisings in other countries. And if it could happen there, it could happen here. Well, when it happened in the United States, that scared the crap out of Russia and Xi Jinping. Because we have amazing capabilities. We just don't use them in a draconian way. But we absolutely, I don't doubt we know the face and phone number of every person who's walked up the steps on January 6th. Mask or no mask, with the capabilities the DOD has. We just have laws that don't allow the use of it. That no matter what the maggots say is being followed. Because anybody who was like, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I know I threw excrement.
Oh, crap. Crap. Yep, I turned off the wrong thing. All right, so let's go off of this, and I'll try and... Okay, so the hyperdeck's back. Let's put this back now. Ah, crap. Yep. No, that's something I did not mean to do. I gotta flip these. They're plugged into the wrong thing. Yes, they're labeled wrong. Or else I wouldn't have turned off the wrong one. Yep. Oh well. Here, let's go back to them here. Oh no, not there. Because that's me. That's not what I want. I want you. No, god damn it, I just did it again. Shit. This one. There we go. Okay. And what we got?
We just put those pieces back on the board, effectively, in terms of the chess game. We didn't add any. But we're threatening sanctions, and they will follow through on them. The United States is going to have horrifying sanctions. And if you think Putin doesn't mind or he doesn't care, he has a way around it, ask the Iranian leaders what it's like to be isolated in your own country and unable to, spend all your offshore funds. Mm-hmm. It matters, and it will matter. And it turns out that this week, France and Germany are now acting as the carrot. Germany being the primary, and everybody's like, well, Germany's breaking away, and they're playing footsie with Russia because they need the oil and gas, and so therefore they only send helmets and da-da-da. No. NATO's allied. There's not a problem. This is all show. And I'm telling you, France and Germany are playing the carrot part. They're not going to give anything. They're not going to give Ukraine to Russia or any of that stuff. They're not going to agree that NATO never will ask and sign a paper saying that. It wouldn't be legally binding anyways. And if Russia started invading other places, would be torn up in an afternoon. Why would you agree to some sort of Chamberlain agreement with Russia? Especially after everybody knows how the Chamberlain agreement went with Germany. Okay, you can have a little bit of Czechoslovakia, but just, you promise to stop there? Okay, well, as long as you don't attack us, you can have as much of that poor other country and their people and their resources as you want. There's that old Carlin bit where he's talking about, here's a line you never hear in a movie: do what you want to the girl, but leave me alone. Right? And that, right? And that's basically, yeah, that's what Chamberlain effectively did.
Because now we can do this.
Do what you want to Czechoslovakia, but leave us out of it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody buys.
That's the
There's a
hyperdeck.
huge difference between Putin and Hitler on a lot of fronts.
I will be
especially
honest,
strategically, which are the only ones that matter.
Everything here,
a-hole, anyways. But he's much more personal.
A basic good computer
I don't know
with an HDMI.
Hitler ever personally murdered anyone.
I've got a $1,000 computer.
I'm fairly certain
that could do all of this on it. If I was using OBS and
right, person to person.
The audio.
When he was in the KGB.
There's a couple of programs you can use to get the audio.
And he certainly has ordered it personally.
True. You can do it all on the computer, but it does have a lot of glitches and takes a lot.
Hitler famously tried to stiff arm his own involvement in this, and just kind of winked and nodded and let
but
his 12 chancellors put together the final solution.
It's mainly just the money.
So he wouldn't get his fingers dirty because he saw himself as king of the world.
Because
so he was trying to basically offshore. He's basically Charles Manson.
Okay, right now.
In that regard. You guys, I'll tell you the awful, you go do it. But I didn't tell you to go do it. I just told you to solve the question.
This is becoming a recurring theme of the Mike Pence vice presidency. Time and time again, we get explanations from his office for the vice president's behavior. Explanations that everybody in Washington and most people in the media just kind of go along with, and they don't make too much of a splash. But time and time again, factually, those explanations that we get from the vice president's office. People who've been put into positions of military strength. Right? Coup leaders and the people like that who sit back and smoke cigars while the soldiers do all the dying. Reared its head a bunch of times, for example,
they have a different view of it than somebody who was a soldier.
Mike Pence insisted solemnly that there were absolutely no contacts between the Trump campaign and Russia during
corner for a while. Right now, we got 2 weeks left of ground freezing over in Ukraine before it gets mushy. So that's why everybody's building up right now, to make that window as painful as possible. And then when the ground starts to thaw, the tanks have to go over mushy ground. It makes it way harder, and we're in a different negotiation point. He knows that. We know that. That's where we are. And again, it's, to quote Eddie Izzard, Hitler never played Risk as a kid.
Looping.
Put them all on Papua New Guinea and build them up and build them up and build them up.
What I did is I also made it so
that's effectively the point we're in right now.
So looping. So that's all you'll see is the loop of number 4.
Tucker. Sorry.
And you can do up to 4.
Sorry, we're not. We would be Mexico reclaiming Texas in this circumstance, not the other way around. In the analogy for it to work. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. We're on every Saturday on WCPT 820 and WCPT820.com's great website. All your favorite talkers. Also, sexyliberal.com, because I'm on the Sexy Liberal Podcasting Network. They carved this show up into usable chunks, which I think is God's work. Bless your heart, Chris Lavoie. We'll be back. Next up, jobs. All right. It's a busy morning. Hold on. Bran muffin and coffee get you? There we go.
Oh yeah, no, hold on. So now what he just did was he said, I gotta go for a minute. And so if you just wanted to come back to just being just me, well, here, let's do that. But let's do that. Okay. I'm here. I'm going to log on to my computer. Not the fastest, not the best, not the greatest. Really slow computer, but that's okay because all it does is one thing. It's not meant to do a whole lot of things. Okay, I'm going to pause you for just a second. That's the only thing. Oh, you know what? It probably isn't. Could reconnect it, couldn't I? I could reconnect it. Hold on.
Pardon me while I'm reading something, kids.
Let's do this right quick.
For the hi chat room. Love you guys. Oh my gosh, thank you guys for the super chats and all that today. And I don't know why my
hold on. So what I want to do is
list of stuff.
Logged on to that.
Like in my
I'm going
mini
to hold on.
Like stopped.
8. There we go. Open you.
Rolling. I'm being hacked all over.
Coming back in 15.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Philip. By the way, I was in Moscow during the apartment bombings that started the Second Chechen War. Putin did it. Yeah, no question. You know, I've several talks to the rest.
This is Damian Perdue of Think Theory Radio. Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I thought there was going to be like a new one every break. I was so excited.
You want more, Hal?
Oh my gosh,
give
Jimmer.
you more.
Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCBT 820. Hoo-yah!
By the way, Jimmer B, thank you so much. He says, not done with COVID and more ficus, please. If you don't know who ficus is, that's a character I do on the regular live stream.
Ficus is terrifying.
Is he? You think so?
Yes.
I think he's adorable in an awful way.
He's terrifying.
One of
he was seriously terrifying.
I guess we have to deal with the elephant in the room. I know it's difficult. Elephant. It's that jobs report. Ouch. Fox is not happy. They spent 3 hours winding up for this jobs report that was supposed to be terrible.
Yeah.
It was going to be 150,000 proof that Biden doesn't know what he's doing. The economy is failing. They were all ready to cheerlead the destruction of America. And what do you know? 457,000 jobs added. 4% unemployment. Wompity womp womp. What do you do? What do you do when you're all in on?
For fuck's sake, why is it doing this?
On the accusation about Trump that you get with Trump derangement syndrome and all that was that Trump could cure cancer and the left would hate him, right? Now, never mind the fact that that's the perfection argument and it's hilarious. You ever been in an argument with somebody about a clear character flaw that they have that you're finally having a conversation about, and there's a lot of buildup and, that's happened over years in a relationship or a friendship, and they go, well, pardon me for not being perfect, like in Dumb and Dumber, I guess you never make a mistake. Like, this is not about perfection. This is about a normal, perfunctory aspect of your personality that you can't get right, or you refuse to, or you think it's not your problem or something. This is, especially when it was their idea to talk about it, is the fun part. And,
Okay, so hold on. So one thing.
Well, in this case, that's where the Trumpians fall back. That's their fallback every time.
Sorry.
Is that he could do something that's perfect and messianic, and everyone would hate him because people are criticizing his abject material failures on a bunch of fronts. Ladies and gentlemen, the wall doesn't work.
The wall
because
doesn't
apparently
exist.
Things have never been this bad after we built the wall.
What wall?
If it wasn't this bad during Obama.
Wall? What wall?
And by the way, it's not as bad as they say it is. It's a lot of recidivism. We're dropping the same people over there because of the COVID protocols. They're just walking back across. So the 3 million that have crossed, according to Fox, that's 1 million of the same people going again and again. And a normal number, like 20, lower than 2019 numbers if you don't add the recidivist rate. But who's counting? Who wants to pay attention to the actual details and who cares about what's going on at the border for real? So, but apparently the worst thing to ever happen to the border, Trump's wall. I don't know why, but everything got worse after we started building that stupid thing. Now, I'm being mildly facetious, but only mildly.
Only mildly.
And in this particular case, everything Trump did that he thought, well, I'll make it better this way. I'll ignore COVID for months until I get my Chinese trade deal done. We'll downplay it. I'll tell Bob Woodward I'm downplaying it. I'll kiss Xi Jinping's booty the entire time I'm doing it so we get a really sweet deal, because I know the art of the deal. And part of that is letting the person you're making... Yeah. Part of that, apparently, according to Trump, is letting the person you're making the deal with kill some of your people. I guess, is that how it's supposed to work out? Is that, we can afford to lose a few, maybe his meetings with Kissinger actually took, and he believes the useless eater part, which I have a hard time, I doubt he wouldn't. Anyways, so, but the story that the Trumpers and the maggots will tell is that, you guys won't get off Trump's back. Everything he does, and nothing good could happen. And they put out these numbers for stuff that are extreme. And we're not talking about biggest tax cut ever, which it wasn't. It's materially obviously not. The lowest unemployment ever, which it obviously isn't because it's lower now.
Right.
Not the obvious material lies, but these giant exaggerated ones that are like, we wouldn't give him a break if it was amazing. Meanwhile, Biden is doing amazingly well. 6 million jobs. That's over 1.5 million more than economists thought could be added because they were counting everybody coming back to work plus a little bit, if we're lucky. That their most optimistic view was that everybody who used to have 2 jobs at least has 1 now, and a few more people get those second jobs they didn't have anymore.
Right.
That was the dream of the economics guys in January of 21.
Correct.
After Biden, before Biden took over. Right. This is what we can look forward to. Meanwhile, end of the year, 1.5 million more than they even thought possible, including the fact that fewer people had double jobs. People who had 3 jobs now only had 2 because wages were going up. And even while costs may have been up because of inflation, it wasn't at that level. Again, take used cars out of the equation, cut the year-over-year gas price difference. Gas is lower than it was in 2014 per gallon.
That's good.
Let me repeat that. Gas. It wasn't at that level. Again, take used cars out of the equation, cut the year-over-year gas price difference. Gas is lower than it was in 2014 per gallon. Let me repeat that. Gas is lower nationwide than it was in 2014. Lower. It's lower now. Dollar for actual dollars, not percentage, but year over year compared to the year nobody was driving or going anywhere, and and like Hertz almost disappeared because not only people were not driving their own cars, they weren't renting them either. But it's us. We can't see that Trump. We can't see that Trump did all these wonderful things. He got this vaccine that none of his supporters want to take, apparently. But the Democrats will take because we're not stupid. But, Biden literally has these kind of numbers. And all they got is flop sweat. Which, again, points out the fact that they're renters, not mortgage holders in the American experiment. That, there's a huge chunk of the Republicans who are basically going to patch the poster holes in the wall with toothpaste to get their security deposit back and move to the Caymans.
Oh, I like that. Move to the Caymans. Move to the Caymans.
Or live on an oil rig.
Literally move into the Caymans.
Does it? Because you recognize that reality? Yeah. Or live on an oil rig with Peter Thiel. We'll be back after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Well, this is kind of the test, too, to see if it can do that. If it can
Are you watching the Olympics
just
at all?
having that part.
Oh, okay.
A little bit. I watched
Yeah, do you want me to throw them on off the air here?
Leslie.
Hold on.
From SNL.
No. Hold on a second, Johnny. What? Chicago. Can you hear Chicago, Johnny?
Yeah.
Currently, okay, good. No, I'll take him on the air.
Okay. Okay.
Or is he not going? Yeah. I just and by the way, whenever we have calls during a break, let me know. Let me know if anybody's called in stuff, because I just assume they aren't until you tell me. I won't ask.
Yeah, it makes sense.
On air, anyways.
So I watched Leslie Jones watch the Olympics.
Oh, that's a way to do it.
Yeah.
I watched Leslie Jones watch.
Has NBC hired her to do it?
Not yet. Everybody
are they
campaigns for it every year.
And they just won't do it. Why? Why?
Yeah.
But I can watch her watch figure skating all day long. She makes it very exciting.
I have a real hard problem watching figure skating, because when they fall down, it's the most heartbreaking moment in.
Oh God, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because it's hard. I know what it's like to fall down on ice. It sucks. Just walking, much less flipping yourself all over the place.
Yeah.
So it just, like, of all the sports, that's the one where I'm like, it's just like cringe. Cosmic Rose loves hardcore figure skating, and I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. Thank you. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely.
This is him coming in.
Love the sport and respect it.
Actually, play and pause.
I just care so much about the people doing it. I'm like,
or even stop.
It's like
to bring it back to the beginning.
You were watching.
Unfortunately, I can't scrub this.
Football, and nobody wore a helmet.
That would be the perfect thing.
Yeah.
Be able to scrub the playback.
It's time!
Guess who's back? Back again.
Hal Sparks.
Back. Tell a friend.
You want to get sued?
So yeah, Hal Sparks is back, y'all.
I love him!
I'm Art.
I'm Bobby.
The host of Where Are They Now? Now let's get back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Hey, listen.
I had no idea there was an E in my first name. The Hale Sparks, or an I even, depending on how you Hale. It's like it's almost like Gaelic pronunciation.
Hale.
We have a.
Oh God. Okay.
Caller on the line. Who do we have? Chicago.
We have Philip from California.
Excellent. Hey Philip, welcome to the show. Is this Philip? From the chat and everything?
Dang it.
Is he there? Do we hear him? I don't hear him.
I don't hear him.
Yeah, can you hear me?
There we go.
There he is. Yeah, there he is. Hey, go ahead. Yeah. Oh, you might want to turn off if you're watching the live stream. There's a huge delay. So that might be part of it.
No, don't lose me.
Nope, we're with you. Don't worry. Just go ahead.
Keep going.
Oh, I was awfully afraid I was going to lose you. Yeah, it's Phil Ittner.
Understood.
I've been trying to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
I'm a recently retired journalist. I worked for some of the biggest networks, Fox, Sky. Fox, to my regret, by the way, and we can talk about that another time. And I've been watching
all Rupert Murdoch. All Rupert Murdoch endeavors.
I was primarily CBS for 25 years.
I'm kidding around, but that's great. But yeah, anyways, you and I've chatted a little bit online, and thanks for the super chats, by the way. But you have some experience on the Russia beat. Yeah, it works.
I've been trying to get your attention because I'm as I'm recently retired. It's driving me nuts that I'm not there.
Sure.
I lived in Moscow for 5 years. In other words,
all right, you do and you'll clean it up.
Thank you. You do and you clean it up.
Hey, if you can go into it's Chinese. If you can go into occasional Cantonese or Mandarin, I can go into my Russian.
It can be done.
It's Mandarin.
Over
It's Mandarin. That's absolutely
touche. Meeting and everything. Well, okay.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. You're a reasonable man.
That's right.
And I've been watching your coverage of what you've been talking about.
No, because
when it comes to Ukraine and Russia,
totally
and I'm very impressed that a person who doesn't actually have an expertise in this, and I mean no slight by that, but I spent 25 years studying these people and I've lived there, so well done on you.
Thanks. I'm glad.
To the point, and this is the fun part about studying Russia is that occasionally you can actually even be surprised yourself because your observation earlier in the broadcast about the decreasing population and the fact that they will have a problem soon with, that's a very, very good point. And I knew it. I just didn't put one and one together. So, you're even teaching me.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, I try. That's the one purpose I serve. And as a comedian, there's a lot of heavy lifting in the world of
and he gets it between him,
compensatory information. The idea that because of what I do for a living, I have to do a little extra heavy lifting in the knowledge-based side of things so that people take me seriously. And I don't disdain that. I actually think it's a good thing. I think the fact that I should have to bring more facts to the table or more information is actually
the box. Read outside of just seeing what our newspapers say and look at what the Chinese newspapers say, the Japanese newspapers say, the Taiwanese, and even there's a couple of other places where if you just, and the best part is now you can get the paper, you can at least get their newspaper front pages and the bit of the story translated. And in some countries, they will let you sign up. So look outside and see what other countries are saying that are nearby.
So fear not. But go ahead. Anyways, I'm curious your take on
and Putin.
Well, when I wore my hat as a journalist in kind of a pan-European, because I've worn many hats, including being like a producer for. Like they would send me to North Africa, and I've been to Afghanistan and Iraq, and I had to learn that whole side of things, which was not my expertise, and I certainly wasn't an expert at getting shot at, but I learned how to do that too. But
does anybody ever become an expert at that? Everybody's always amateur at that one, no matter who you are. But go ahead, yeah.
That's true.
We could talk for an hour and a half.
No doubt.
We could talk for a half a day. But look, I am in touch with people on the ground there, and I am also in touch with my former contacts within the U.S. military. And I think there are a couple of really important things that we need to discuss. Most importantly, and if you want to talk about the situation and the information I'm learning about on a daily basis, we can do that too. But it'll take more time out of your show. What I called in to talk about was two really important aspects I think that you have to understand about what is happening in the former Soviet Union. Three, really, but the two that are most important. Yeah. When we talk regionally about what's happening in Ukraine, for Crimea in particular, for Russia, and for Putin in particular, is an existential threat. It would be like losing Diego Garcia for us in the Indian Ocean, not Cuba, Diego Garcia. Strategically, it's vital. The Russians have to hold Sevastopol. It is their only warm water port, and the Russians, since the 18th century and Peter the Great, have strove to find a warm water port. It's their only access, limited as it is, to the greater. The trade route.
I totally understand that, and I want to make sure I totally get that, and I want to make sure you get to the second point. But I want to put a pin in the fact that was given away, if I'm not mistaken, by Khrushchev, and they could use it anytime they absolutely could have a strategic alliance with Ukraine if they had wanted one, but they chose to undermine and seize it as opposed to rent it like we do a base in Turkey.
The second Maidan happened, what we should have done as an international community, in hindsight is 2020, although I was on Maidan and I was saying this at the time, we needed to have a Yalta and discuss the status of Sevastopol and let them have the Black Sea Fleet, much as Guantanamo Bay. Neither here nor there. I'm trying to get to my 2 points because I know you have a limited time.
Get
and
it.
I have so much information.
No worries, go for it.
Okay, so here's the thing. The Kerch Bridge isn't working. The Kerch Bridge is falling into the silt of the strait. It is why it has never worked. The Russians have tried it many times. To your listeners who aren't informed, the Kerch Bridge is the connection between a section of mainland Russia and Crimea. It's a very small stretch of sea, but it's all silt. It's all you can't build on it. So the Russians tried doing it.
Russia has a terrible land problem, which is not part of the conversation in general.
Right.
As a country, they have a
big,
no navigable rivers. It's a problem. But yeah. Go ahead.
I'd love to talk to you all about all of this at another time.
Sure.
I'm in LA as well, and if you'd like to sit down for a coffee, I'd be love to do that.
I'm for it.
I get to a point because I think your listeners.
Yeah, go.
And I want to impart these two main points. I have sources within the U.S. military. I have sources within Russia. Everybody knows there are sections of the people who need to be in the know who know that bridge is fucking falling. I apologize.
Oops.
Sorry for my language.
Yeah, it's all right. Chicago. We'll rejoining in just a second after
Chicago.
a slightly. Yes. That's all right. It's a reflex from my live stream where we talk freely. So I don't blame anybody right that for now. We'll write that off. Everybody gets a mulligan on their live stream versus radio portion or whatever.
Exactly.
But
sorry about that.
So is he still with us?
As a former broadcaster, I should have known better. I apologize.
That's all right.
I'm really trying to get through to the points because there's
hard not to swear when talking about Russia. I get it. But go ahead. Yeah.
If I do, I'll swear in Russian. Okay. So I know people, I've spoken to people, that bridge isn't going to work. It sure as heck isn't going to work for the amount of rail, which is what they had intended to actually really build it, because you need rail to support Crimea. It's a domino effect. You need Sevastopol, so you need to support Crimea. In order to support Crimea, you have to have some sort of supply chain. It's not working with a bridge. They wanted to build a bridge. It's not working. That is why there is hostile threat of an incursion, and what they really want to do is push down through Mariupol and get down and actually have a land bridge so that they can fly Crimea and then subsequently. So that is an existential threat for Russia. If he does not resolve a way to support Sevastopol, he is in real trouble. That is my first point, and I could tell you so much more about it. But because
I appreciate that.
I got to get on to my second point.
Yes. Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Really quick.
It's a much more simple point, and it's easier for me to just give you the germ, and you can run with this. Look into the Northeast Passage.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In 5 or 10 years, if the Arctic really does melt to a point where that is open year-round, Russia will have a stranglehold on world trade. It will be the shortest route between Asia and Europe, and they know it, and they are putting dollars into finding ways to create. They are building a brand new fleet of atomic-powered icebreakers. They are building a series of checkpoints that will take a toll every few hundred kilometers. The Russians want there to be climate change because for the Russians, it creates a massive trade route over their northern hemisphere, over their northern border, and they will be richer than anybody, and they will have a still on world trade.
Totally agree, and I will say this: they will be sorely disappointed, because as much as climate change is going to affect big portions of our ice caps, it is not going to affect it in enough time to fix the problems with Russia's economy or their demographic. It won't. And they are going to be they're going to have to outsource crews on those boats and those stations to other countries to do it. There's no way they're going to seize that. There is no new world order where they're controlling the seaways, because that's the one way boats can go from Southeast Asia over to the United States and Canada without being pirated. It's nonsense, and it's a pipe dream. And the fact that they're spending that much money on it shows you how strategically lost they are. And it is precisely the wrong kind of militaristic, expansionist, in lieu of innovation strategy that's got them in trouble.
but it is still the way they think.
I agree.
I am not saying that.
Way too much time.
And I'm for it.
Never go over 2 minutes.
I'm all for
Period.
Genuinely dangerous, strategically adverse people doing lots of stupid things with what little money they have. Knock yourself out. It's like China's BRI is turning out to be their worst investment in the history of their country. It's a mistake, and it's blowing up in their face. And Russia started this idea under the same pretense.
That works.
They started it under the idea, and they're also, by the way, this is also pushback on from Russia on China's part, because if you look at the BRI, if you look at the Belt Road Initiative that China has put forward, what they want to do, they're buying one of the commercial train lines that they're purchasing that goes through Kazakhstan, goes right through Moscow, ends in St. Petersburg, in the same area where the Nord Stream pipeline takes off from. And their outline over the top of the entire continent goes between Russia and that that Arctic route. So we are getting to a resource. Yeah, and it's still a mistake. Both and by the way, if China and Russia want to chase that nonsense and think, well, we'll pollute the world with coal, like they're the aliens in Independence Day. They fly here, they overheat the Earth.